The Offering of Sauria Isle, Part 4, The Global Incursion. The escape pod didn't drift toward a rescue fleet. It screamed through the atmosphere, a metal coffin plummeting toward the Sauria Coastal Logistics Center on the mainland. The impact was a bone-shattering jolt that sent Darius's glasses skittering across the floor. He kicked the manual release, stumbling out onto a rain-slicked concrete pier. He wasn't safe. He had simply arrived at the distribution point. The pier was lined with rows of towering shipping containers, each marked with a biohazard symbol and a strange, pulsing heat sink. Darius moved through the labyrinth of steel, his breath hitching. From inside the crates came a rhythmic thud, the sound of something heavy and powerful throwing itself against the walls. This wasn't a research facility anymore. It was a loading dock for an invasion. He found a door marked Manifest Control and slipped inside, desperate for a way to stop the shipments. The room was cold, smelling of ozone and expensive cologne. On a mahogany desk sat a glass of amber liquid, still swirling. A wall of monitors displayed live feeds from major cities across the globe: New York, London, Tokyo. In each city, identical black containers were already being unloaded by oblivious dock workers. A shadow detached itself from the corner of the office. It wasn't a beast, but a man in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, his silver hair slicked back with surgical precision. This was Director Sylvanus, the architect of the Sauria legacy. He held a tablet that controlled the locks on every container in the port. He looked at Darius not with anger, but with the cold curiosity of a gardener looking at a weed. "You think we are making monsters, Darius?" Sylvanus's voice was as smooth as glass. He stepped toward a secondary containment vat in the center of the room. Nature spent millions of years perfecting the predator. We simply gave it a promotion. The scion isn't just a dinosaur. It's an ecological reset button. Humanity has become stagnant. We are providing the necessary friction for a new evolution. Darius lunged for the tablet, his desperation overriding his fear. He and Sylvanus grappled, the tablet sliding across the floor toward the scion's vat. "You're insane," Darius hissed, pinning the older man against the desk. "You're ending the world," Sylvanus laughed. A dry, rattling sound. "No, boy, I'm just opening the door. And look, you've brought the key." The tablet struck the base of the vat, and the glass didn't just crack, it shattered under the pressure of the occupant. The scion uncoiled like a spring of obsidian wire. It was beautiful in its lethality, its skin-shifting colors to match the shadows of the room. It didn't attack Darius first. It turned its single, weeping eye towards Sylvanus, recognizing its creator as its first meal. Darius didn't wait to see the end. He grabbed a flare gun from an emergency kit on the wall and sprinted back toward the docks. If he couldn't stop the world's containers, he would turn this port into a funeral pyre. He reached the central fuel line, the massive pipes that fed the tankers. Behind him, he heard a screech that sounded like a choir of the damned. The scion was calling to its kin in the crates. The containers began to burst open from the inside. Dozens of scions poured out like a black tide, their movements a blur of predatory grace. They swarmed the security guards, bypassing the guns with impossible speed. Darius stood over the main pressure valve, the flare gun aimed at the leaking gas. One of the creatures paused, its single eye locking onto his. It recognized him from the island. It smiled. Darius pulled the trigger. The world turned into a blinding white roar as the fuel lines ignited, a chain reaction that tore the logistics center apart. He was thrown into the cold harbor water by the force of the blast. As he surfaced, gasping, he saw the fire lighting up the horizon. But then he looked at his phone. A notification popped up, a live news feed from a city 1,000 miles away. The containers there were already open. The offering had been delivered.